What's up guys, Clouded Truth here, bringing you all some more Battlefield 3, and today I've got a very nice game of Conquest on Seine Crossing, using the Assault class with the L85A2 as my main gun. This is, I believe, about the third or fourth game after I unlocked this weapon, so I don't have very many attachments for it, but it still turned out to be a great game for me. I believe it was another 10,000 point game, so I hope you all enjoy the footage. Pretty old. I believe this gameplay was when I was around level 39 or 40, so don't be surprised when you see the end score and see my levels a bit lower than what it is right now. I don't want to go over the gameplay at all because this extremely long list of changes has come out regarding Battlefield 3's next patch, and it is a lot of changes, and some are good, some are bad, but I want to go into the bigger categories. I'm not going to go into each individual weapon, each individual attachment, because it really does vary from weapon to weapon. Basically, instead of all the attachments doing the same thing to each kind of gun, basically the ICE is going to change each individual gun, and the attachment on it will do different things to different weapons. So you can read the article. I'll link it to this video in the description, and go see which gun you like to use, and go check out the attachments you like to run for, and basically see if it's going to help or hurt the gun. Alright, let's go ahead and get into these fixes, starting with the more general fixes overall. The fall damage has been removed from short falls. Basically, after you fall 3-4 feet, you won't lose half your health anymore. You will get up faster after lying prone. You will also have a reduced black screen time when spawning in, as well as a spawn protection increased time from 1 to 2 seconds, but if you move or shoot during that protection time, it will cancel out. However, if you look around, you will still remain under that spawn protection time. You will also have increased accuracy when aiming down sights after running. This is very good, especially if you're just kind of running around a building and there's an enemy that you see coming around, I don't know, kind of a crate, maybe 20-30 meters away, and he's running as well. And you can stop, aim down sights, and fire, and you will have increased accuracy, whereas before your accuracy was, not so great. However, you will have increased recoil and increased inaccuracy while you are being suppressed, making it much more difficult to hit an enemy and actually kill someone while you are being shot at. To counter this, though, the effect of suppression resist specialization has been increased, making it possibly a must when you're running in a squad of 4 to have as a perk. Parachutes are now more responsive, making them easier to turn and maneuver. The bipods will be more reliable when you set them up on like rocks and other places like that. However, you cannot deploy them in places that are above your head. The knife will only take 2 swipes instead of 3 to kill, making it a bit more faster to take down an enemy from the front. However, the takedown from behind is still the same as it was before. It's that one kind of takedown animation kill, and that's it. Alright, so those are the big general fixes. Let's go ahead and move on to the larger vehicle fixes. Tank shells and RPGs, as well as smalls, will destroy all air vehicles in one shot. This is not guided missile from a tank. This is the battle tank's main gun. So if you hit a chopper, boom, it's gone. It's destroyed. If you get lucky enough and hit a jet, the jet's gone as well. You don't have to worry about, getting the disable and then, try to shoot them again. No, it's a one-shot kill and they're gone. The main gun on the tanks will also do more damage to other tanks as well, making tank fights a lot shorter. And another way they have shortened this time of the head-to-head tank fights is decreasing the speed in which the repair tool repairs. So you cannot just have an engineer sit behind a tank and basically you won't ever die. Eventually you will die because the engineer cannot repair as fast as he did before. But the repair tool also will do more damage to enemy vehicles, making it a more viable option to use when trying to take down an enemy vehicle. You will no longer jump back and forth between 2 targets when you're locking in. If 2 tanks were sitting side by side and you had a javelin, and you're kind of, it was jumping back and forth, the lock-on was, and you really had to move to one side to make sure you get the lock-on in the vehicle you want. It'll basically just pick one and stay locking onto that one vehicle. The javelins and air-to-ground missiles will do more damage to targets that are laser designated. So if you have a LAV or tank that is laser designated, your javelin will do more damage to that rather than you locking on it yourself. There will also be a faster lock-on time to targets that are laser designated. So, you won't have to wait as much time. If you use a javelin on a tank, it'll just be, a little bit quicker. You can get your shot off and reload and get another one out. Flares on helicopters can now distract laser-guided missiles, but it will not break the lock that's on there. So if you lock on with a laser designator, the flares will not break the lock, but if a missile is shot, the flares can distract the missile. Jets will have their missiles increased as far as their locking distance go, and their locking time will be reduced on both air and ground vehicles. I think this is a good thing for air vehicles, ground vehicles. I'm not real big on that. I'm not a huge fan of jets trying to take out ground vehicles. It really bugs me because they're nearly impossible to take out sometimes. But as far as air vehicles go, it's great because while trying to fly a jet and using missiles, you have to be almost right on another jet or a helicopter to take it out. And usually you're going so fast that by the time you do lock, you've already flown by. Stingers will now disable aircraft in one hit, but the range in which they can lock onto an enemy aircraft will be reduced, making them good for trying to control a point, but you cannot chase a jet around a map while locking onto him. The attack chopper gunner, the main gun will do less damage to armor. I can kind of understand where they're going with this, because honestly, the gunner seat on an attack helicopter is probably the most powerful position to be, because that gun is just such an explosive gun. The explosions on stationary objects have been increased, such as cars, the little big rig tanks that are exploding, things like that. The explosions will be increased, making it almost a bit more easier to die from them. And when you do die from them, it will no longer say just like bad luck or whatever. You will be killed by the person who caused the explosion. So if you do cause an explosion and it kills someone, and you didn't directly do it, you will still be credited for the kill. The F-35 jet is being tweaked pretty significantly to make it a bit more equal with other jets. They're changing the hover. As far as when you can hover, they're changing how basically the main throttle, and they're basically just tweaking it all around to be a little bit more equal with the other jets. The MAV or MAV will now be destroyed when running into vehicles instead of the other way around. So, a lot of times guys like to take their MAV up in the air and try to, knock down a helicopter with it. If you try to do that, your MAV will get destroyed rather than the helicopter. The disabled vehicles will also have increased reverse speed. So if you are getting shot somewhere and, two RPGs hit you from the side, you're now disabled, you can back out of there and get behind a crate or get down a hill, so you can try to repair and regroup, as opposed to before when you're basically just stuck. Below radar on attack helicopters as well as jets will also prevent the lock-on from stingers, which will make this I guess, perk on the vehicle a much more better option than what it was before. Okay, so that does it for the main changes as far as vehicles. Let's go ahead and move on to the weapon changes. This is just overall. This is not specific weapons or attachments. This is just a general overview of some major weapon changes. The ASVAL, or ASVAL, will have extended mags that you can equip, and that will unlock after 200 kills. I think it's very good. I'm hoping that it is not a double mag size to 40, because if that happens, the ASVAL will probably be the weapon of choice for just about every single kit. The SKS sniper rifle will have reduced recoil as well as a higher maximum damage at close range. Frag rounds will do less splash damage when fired from automatic shotguns as well as semi-automatic shotguns. All snipers and shotguns using slug rounds will now do their max damage up to 15 meters. Semi-automatic weapons will no longer jam while firing, so even if you run a gun like the AN-94, the KH-2002, the M4, M16A4 guns like that, if you press the fire button faster than what the gun can actually fire, it won't jam. The weapon will just fire as fast as it can. The bolt action sniper rifles will be a one-shot kill to the chest at close range. I think this will kind of influence a bit more aggressive recons. You will probably see a lot more guys running around with maybe something like a 3 times or like a holographic sight or something on there on their sniper rifle trying to get kills, which we'll have to see if that's something that can be good or may result in a lot of annoying kills. More consistent damage at ranges has been increased for the semi-auto snipers, the light machine guns, the assault rifles, and the slugs. So now even if you shoot a guy in the leg, it will do a bit more damage than what it did before. It won't take more shots to kill. The spread of flechette rounds have been reduced on all shotguns. I think this might make flechette the ammo choice of all shotguns because for me, I find that it does a great job even at range to down an enemy, and now reducing that spread even more will make this flechette really powerful. Also, the spread of the buckshot has been reduced, but only on the M1014, the Dow 12, and the Sega 12K shotgun. There is a reduced time between swipes with your knife, so if you're trying to get an enemy from the front and you swipe, you won't have to wait that delay and then go again. The time will be reduced so you can kind of swipe and then swipe again a lot faster. One of the biggest changes in this patch, which I think some people will be very happy about, is the USAS 12 and the MK3A1 fully automatic shotguns now have a reduced rate of fire when using frag rounds. Hopefully my hope is this really discourages use of this type of ammo on these guns. It will not do this with other ammo types such as buckshot, flechette, and slug rounds. It will still have their regular rate of fire. However, if you use frag rounds on these fully automatic shotguns, your rate of fire will be decreased. You can now earn the shotgun ribbon with the M26 mask, whereas before you could not. And also, smoke grenades will now detonate properly. So if you shoot and it hits an enemy, sometimes it would just kind of pass through before it hit the ground. Now if you hit a guy with a smoke grenade, it hits him, and generally that will be a kill. And sometimes if you shoot grenades through objects, it will just kind of pass through and then, you know, detonate. Now it will, when it hits an object, it will go off. Okay, that does it for the general weapons. Now let's move on to the gadgets. The MAV or MAV will now be destroyed when running into a soldier or a vehicle at high speed. It will still get a kill on infantry. However, what the idea is if you try to kill an infantry with it and you actually get the kill, your MAV will be destroyed, so you can no longer use it. And now in the kill feed, instead of just saying, you know, a name, killed, and then another name, it will actually have the weapon, or this time the equipment, which will say MAV. Another great change, the MAV can no longer be used as an elevator. It is about time that they did this, because it is so annoying when you have snipers that get on top of these buildings that cannot be destroyed, and they basically just sit there and snipe, and then their team spawns on them and they just shoot RPGs down. It is one of the most annoying things to go up against. So I'm glad that they're changing this. You can now destroy equipment with a knife instead of having to shoot it before. C4 can no longer be detonated after respawn. You can detonate it, however, if you are revived 5 seconds after your death, you can still go over, detonate it, and it will blow up. However, if you die and respawn, you can no longer come back in and press the detonator and it'll go off. You cannot do that anymore. I think this is a good and bad thing. There are sometimes I've gotten kills by doing that, but overall, it's one of those things where it's good for the game, because there's a lot of times I've been put C4 on a tank, and you know, it's like, oh no, I'm getting put C4 on there. I see the guy on my proximity scanner, so if I'm in a tank, I zoom backwards, get the kill before he detonates it, but now I got C4 all over my tank. And if I'm running something like Assault or Recon as a tank driver, it's just, I can't do anything, because as soon as that guy spawns in, he's going to detonate it and kill us, so the tank's gone. There's not much you can do about it. Claymores will now only stay 5 seconds after a player's death. Finally, especially those of you that like to play team deathmatch, this will help you a lot. After you kill like a support guy, his claymores 5 seconds after respawn, or after death, excuse me, they will blow up. Another bad thing I think with claymores is they can now disable light vehicles such as jeeps, and they can even kill passengers in the open jeeps or the small buggies. However, they do not have any effect on armor. I think it'll be interesting to see how many claymores will be used when this patch comes out. The ammo boxes will now resupply bullets faster, but they'll resupply explosives slower, especially the grenades. The RPGs and smalls, as well as grenades, will have a reduced blast radius against infantry, hopefully encouraging less just running around spamming that RPG. I'm hoping that's what this will do. The total number of RPGs and smalls a player can carry has been reduced from 5 to 4. They're trying to encourage the use of the explosive specialization perk if you want to run engineer with a lot of RPGs. The medic pack will also heal faster, which is rather interesting considering if you are sitting on a med pack and you are hurt, it will heal you, I believe, 10% health a second. So I thought that was pretty fast already, and it'll be interesting to see now how fast you can regenerate health and really see if the med pack is something as an assault you need to run all the time, or if it still isn't like terrific and maybe perhaps the grenade launcher or the mass may be a better option. And finally, one of the biggest changes with the gadgets is mortars can no longer be deployed in protected spawn areas, which is great. Because before, basically guys would just spawn in on a map, and as soon as they're in their spawn point, set up their mortars and start shooting on these smaller maps, especially Grand Bazaar. This is great because no longer are guys sitting in the back of their spawn that you can't kill, and they're just mortaring out. You have to mortar inside a combat zone, and it has to be inside a part of the battlefield that every single player on every team can get to. Alright guys, that is basically a small, a very small overview of some of these categories. There is a ton of changes. I mean, just a ridiculous amount of changes, and this is just kind of the big stuff that I picked out that I think will really help the game, or sometimes even possibly hurt the game. But overall, I think that this patch will probably be a good thing. There's some stuff in here I really don't like, and some of the stuff is still questionable, and most of that does revolve around the weapons. So don't send me a bunch of questions asking this and that about weapons. I don't know. Okay, the patch has not come out. I am not going to know how, a specific weapon setup will work until the patch has been released and tried it on each individual gun. I don't know. So just take it easy with that, alright? You can ask maybe if this gun better to use now. I can maybe give you a I don't know or maybe a yes-no answer, but really, don't ask me with a certain setup. I'm not going to know that. So, okay. Went on a rant there for a second. Sorry about that. But that's just kind of my overview of this patch. Hopefully, it will be good for the game. And like I said, please check out the link, which will have all the information, and you can read it for yourself and think if this is really going to be a good change for Battlefield, or if this is possibly a step backwards, which I don't think it will be whatsoever. Alright, I hope you all enjoyed the footage as well as some of the information, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.